We're recording.
Great, let's start.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a good cool down chapter after the intense conversations of the last one, yeah?
Yeah, very quick chapter, but not negligible. You know, it's always enjoyable. There's always the character work and things like that.
Yeah, I was not particularly satisfied in regard to Vin articulating some sort of reason not to bring up her experiences with Sazed during that conversation. She reflects on the conversation, but she does not have a thought as to what motivated her to keep it secret.
Yeah, and we're in her POV. We could have been given that.
Yeah, and we were very frustrated last chapter with her silence, so I really would have liked something. We get a bit of Zane. We get one very specific line, I'll call it out, regarding Zane and Renault, Dogasaur.
You'll call it out, yes.
Yep. We've got more of Projectin' Zane.
Yeah, just the usual flavor, but we have a little bit of the usual resistance from Vin. I like that. We do have another line about that I will call out there, that Vin she's still a bit taken with this guy, even though she has some lines against him. You know, she has some defenses against his projection and things like that, but on the other hand, she's still got her own reasons for being attracted to him.
Yeah. And with that said, Kitte has very generously offered to do this intro as Breeze.
I forgot about that. I forgot you were going to do this to me. Okay. I like having you do the voice so that I can then try and imitate it straight after. I like that dynamic.
Okay. Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that Don Kitte.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment, we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter and discuss our experience along the way.
Hold on to your butts, because this is Ascension Unleashed, a blind read-through, and today we will be covering Chapter 24.
Chapter 24! Excellent.
Absolutely.
He commanded kings, and though he sought no empire, he became greater than all who had come before.
Okay. We are not getting more information from these epigraphs.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, he commanded kings, meaning he could have been considered something greater than a king. Marvelous
there is a lot.
Imperator. Yes, there is a lot.
There is a lot that happens with Alendi to get him into whatever position he was in before going into the cavern. Like, we knew this, but just really having it said he commanded kings, and it's like, how? He was in the city. You were talking about him being an apprentice in the city, or an assistant, and now you're talking about he commanded kings. How? Like, I know something it had to be that he filled the signs or whatever, but we've noted, if I'm not mistaken, that there was no like immediate push by someone who said, oh, go and follow this, go and fulfill the prophecies. It just happened, and then they started following him. So
I agree. Talk about like he started conquering nations, or more people started to believe and they flocked to him. Give me something.
Yeah, like, we know this part. You're not giving us extra. So I suppose the epigraph is just like this chapter. It's just here's a. It's not, I won't call it filler, because filler is like a pejorative. It's more. It's
just a bit hollow.
Yeah, it's not new. This information. It's like it's just like, oh, fine, we have to have an epigraph, so I'll put it here. It's like, no, give us something. We have only a limited amount.
Yeah. And then Vin thinks to herself,
something is going on.
Vin thought, sitting in the mists atop Keep Venture. Sazed was not prone to exaggeration. He was meticulous, That much showed in his mannerisms, his cleanliness, the way he spoke. And he was even more meticulous when it came to his studies. Vin was inclined to believe his discoveries. And she'd certainly seen things in the mists, dangerous things. Could the mist spirit explain the deaths Sazed had encountered?
But if that's the case, why didn't Sazed speak of figures in the mist?
Vin,
Yeah,
how would he know?
How would he know? He has not seen. He told you that he didn't see it happen.
Yeah. I mean, he was recounting other things. He said he saw the mists. He said he saw the mist. Just because he doesn't see it doesn't mean they're not there. And it's about connecting his pieces with yours.
Yes. And that means talking. That means telling him what your data points are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have a thought that'll connect to this, but I'll get to it when we get to a line about Hero of Ages.
Okay, but yeah, it's just main statement here is the frustration we spoke about beforehand, that we're not really getting a reason for why she kept quiet. And Vin is very insightful and self-aware and things like that. So even a throwaway line, just something like that, just that could just address, like, maybe she was Vin didn't want to think about that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah. Now, I might be able to patchwork a reason, but it would be very patchwork, and we'll get to it again when we get to the Hero of Ages line.
Oh, okay.
She sighed, closing her eyes in burning bronze. She could hear the spirit watching nearby, and she could hear it again as well, the strange thumping in the distance. She opened her eyes, leaving her bronze on, and quietly unfolded something from her pocket. A sheet from the logbook. By the light from Ellen's balcony below, and with tin, she could easily read the words. I sleep but a few hours each night. We must press forward, traveling as much as we can each day. But when I finally lie down, I find sleep elusive. The same thoughts that trouble me during the day are only compounded by the stillness of night. And above it all, I hear the thumping sounds from above, the pulsing from the mountains, drawing me closer with each beat. So that's the logbook again.
Yep, and we have had that in mind. Gladwin has it in mind too.
Yes, it is very gratifying to know that she has made that connection.
Yeah. And I guess that's pretty scary to have made that connection.
And we have associated that thumping with allomancy, right?
Yeah.
And we're very much in the realm of whatever happened at the Well of Ascension resulted in allomancy idea, right?
Somehow. Yeah.
Because so then there's this sort of question, which is, how is Alendi able to feel the thumping? Presumably he has not ingested any metal, since allomancy, in theory, does not exist yet. And then how is allomancy connected to the deepness? Why does the deepness have to be stopped at the Well of Ascension?
It seems like the deepness needs to be stopped with allomancy, but allomancy isn't in the world yet, or allomancers aren't in the world yet. Maybe he's the first allomancer, but but then we've also got Alendi. We don't really know what his abilities extended to, and then we've got Rashek, who had both. So I'm like, mysteries abound.
Yeah, and we do know that Rashek. Well, we don't know, but I think we can presume that Rashek was a ferrochemist before becoming an allomancer then. So if one goes to the Well of Ascension to become an allomancer, then allomancy would be the key to stopping the deepness. But we know that whatever Rashek didn't stop the deepness, it just held off the deepness.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have my theory about Duralumin empowered Atium, but I don't know. There's a slight deepening of the mystery here.
Yeah,
but I don't know what to do with it.
It's like, it's you know what? It's given us space to think about the mystery. I feel like it's given us more of. It's nothing new yet. I don't feel like there's anything new here. It's just that it's carved
Vin,
out.
Vin uses bronze to detect allomancy, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the metal. Has she tried sensing this thumping without burning metal, like
Yeah, I don't
Alendi
think.
presumably has?
Yeah, that's what I was wanting to know. It's like maybe he has a theory that when the deepness is at a certain level, everybody can feel it. I don't know. But
Yeah,
he didn't say everybody could feel it. So that's in the
true.
logbook. So, and that begs the question for this whole prophecy thing. It's like, if he can sense it, why him? What? And that goes back to my saying that everything obviously happened the way it's supposed to happen. So we're
Hmm.
just figuring out how the prophecy is coming to pass. But yeah, what is his
And
part?
right, and so the bloodline thing also plays an element. We know that feruchemy is genetic,
Mm-hmm.
I think. So it's still a little bit questionable regarding whether or not allomancy is genetic, but we do know that there is some degree of genetic component regarding the nobles' bloodlines and a pure bloodline, with Vin's father being very high up. So how does that play into this? So Alendi's descendants, perhaps, but no.
Mm-mm.
Because why
That's
would Rashek have let Alendi's descendants exist and become nobles?
absolutely, yeah.
Oh
The
gosh.
questions, and I wonder how much we've got. Okay, we're about a third through the book.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, there's a whole series ahead of us still, so I don't know whether we'll have too many answers by the end of the book.
I don't disagree.
But it's fun to speculate.
Yeah. She shivered. She had asked one of Ellen's seekers to burn bronze, and he had claimed to hear nothing from the north. Could it be that Vin heard a rhythm nobody else could hear? Nobody except a man 1,000 years dead. A man everyone had assumed was the hero of ages. So this is that line I was talking about, and the patchwork justification that I've sort of come up with in my mind is this. You and I have, I think, outright stated we do not believe Vin is the hero of ages. For my money, currently, I'm thinking Sazed is the hero of ages, but I could totally believe that Vin might be concerned that she is the hero of ages, and maybe she's afraid to be, or doesn't know what
Yes.
to do with that.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you this chapter because, we both have been on this, it can't be Vin thing, or it just won't be. We've really been on that for a while now. I think maybe even from the first book, because it would be too obvious, I think, is the only thing that we
Yeah.
thought. But there's no other reason than it would be too obvious.
True.
Is there anything else that makes you think it's not her?
I mean, just that the problem with prophecy is that it's so vague. You can arguably apply it to anyone or any reasonable facsimile therein, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, she has several parallels with Alendi, but then again, so do other characters. This thumping sense seems to be unique, though, among
Yeah.
all of the comparisons.
And that is quite a big difference because it's a physical thing that she has that other people don't have.
Yeah.
And that is, look, what cool. Maybe she doesn't have to be the hero of ages, but there were two people involved in the previous whatever happened at the Well of Ascension. So we had Rashek coming out of it. So Vin, it's not like Vin isn't part of it. I think we agree that Vin is part of whatever has to occur at the Well of Ascension. But
hence my joke prediction that friendship is the hero of ages. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, be a Guardians of the Galaxy type conclusion.
Yeah, so she's half of the hero of ages. Okay.
Yes, she's the hero. Sazed's the ages.
Mm-hmm. Who is the of?
Breeze, obviously.
Dorkus.
Dogasur.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my thinking. Is like, look, we've come to the conclusion it's not Vin, but probably because of how wishy-washy prophecy is, but not so much that there are concrete facts that have pointed to us and said, haha, she's not involved. We know she is. She is the key to something. Maybe she's not the key to everything. Maybe Zane is the hero of ages.
You know, I briefly considered that, and it would be one hell of an arc for him to end up there. I'm not against it, but I'm not so certain. We know there's something funky going on with him hearing those whispers, the voices.
Yeah. They're not good whispers.
No, not good whispers. Anyway, she thinks to herself, Vin
Oh,
thinks...
also, wait, one more line. Sorry, extra. In your book, there's no mention of the Condra there yet. It says either he was a Condra, because it says hearing nothing from the north. That part was in your book. Mine says either he was the Condra lying to her about his ability to burn bronze, or Vin could hear a rhythm that nobody else could.
Interesting.
That does lend itself to the Vin is trying to lie to herself because she's scared of what she's figuring out here, because she's like going to think, okay, no, this guy is the Condra. That's it. You know, like, I don't know. She's going to think about those kinds of possibilities. I don't know.
And I do remember Kelsier saying that several people have tried to pierce copper clouds as well. Just a quick non sequitur, but yeah, she is. See, I like that Condra line, although I can see it, like, if that's not going to lead anywhere, I can see why it might have been cut. But it does also add this element of, yes, she is still searching for the Condra in other areas as well.
Yeah, but it's still, look, so I suppose we're frustrated with Vin, but we understand. I agree. I'm actually with you on this. She's avoiding thinking about this because she is scared of what it means.
Yeah, or what it could mean. But she thinks to herself,
you're being silly, jumping to conclusions.
To her side, Orasur rustled, lying quietly and staring out over the city. Yet she kept thinking of Sazed's words. Something was happening with the mists. Something was wrong. Zane didn't find her atop Keep Hasting. He stopped in the mists, standing quietly. He'd expected to find her waiting, for this was the place of their last fight. Even thinking of the event made him tense with anticipation. During the months of sparring, they had always met again at the place where he'd eventually lost her. Yet he'd returned to this location on several nights and had never found her. He frowned, thinking of Straff's orders and of necessity. At this point, I'm thinking, well, Vin's had a busy couple of days.
Yeah, she's just not up for that sort of thing at the moment. But what I took from there is just like there is this sort of flirty back and forth of them, in that they don't really say, hey, we'll meet next time or something like that. They just fell into this they're looking for each other thing, and then they're sparring again. Like, there's some weird seduction happening. It doesn't have to be, romantic or whatever, but it's kind of like a weird, what am I trying to say? There's some sort of temptation thing here that's building, and it doesn't even require words, which makes it can take on as well. You can project all kinds of things onto it. So it's dangerous.
Yes, it is. Eventually, he would be ordered to kill this girl. He wasn't certain what bothered him more, his growing reluctance to consider such an act, or his growing worry that he might not be able to beat her. So, Zane becoming reluctant to kill Vin is interesting. We haven't gotten too much regarding... We've had more time with Vin contemplating Zane than we have had Zane contemplating Vin.
Yeah.
And the time we have had with Zane has been very obsessive, more so than, I think, earnest and good-hearted.
Yeah.
So the way this is written, it strikes me as he likes her and not too obsessive, but I'm just so wary.
Yeah, it's so I suppose what you're saying is like his fascination or obsession with her has actually, it's deepened a bit more than just that surface frenzy of what is this? Who is she? What is she about? What is this challenge that's ahead of me? This person. It's kind of, yeah, he's grown fond of her in a certain way, and also
Yeah.
attached to her. I think that there's like, if he has to kill her, the reason he's reluctant is that then he loses whatever fun or whatever relation that they have a relationship now.
Hmm.
Whatever they're doing, he loses that. That's loss. So that's what he would be reluctant to do. Yeah. So we do have some, I suppose, genuine affection. But it's so clouded by all of that
Yeah.
projection, and we'll see in the next few lines as well
And
what else clouds it.
yeah, and I would like to know what Zane thinks not killing her would look like. There seems to be an element of the two of them go off into the mists and, become hermits or something,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't think we get much elsewhere because he seems to be very Rashek in a way in that he wants to dominate.
But then there's also this other part of him that he kind of doesn't want to be controlled by anyone, which could mean, just going off and doing whatever you want somewhere else. But that means you have to have some sort of dominance over people, because that's the only way you can get freedom, in his opinion.
Yeah. And of course, he's worried that he can't beat her, which is a fair concern to have. I mean, she's special.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, just to have that reminder that, yeah, she's not easy to defeat. And
Yeah.
hey, if she is the hero of ages, maybe we want that anyway.
And
Well, yeah.
we know from Vin's POV that he is probably more talented than her, but neither of them, I think, have actually tried to kill each other. And I'm pretty sure
Yes.
that with her back to a corner, Vin would find a way to come out on top. So my money would be on Vin in an actual fight.
It would be close though.
Yeah.
And basically his, I don't know, his emotions would probably get in the way of his abilities, whereas Vin would be able to see a way out. Vin's smart in her fighting sense, So
Yeah.
that would be the edge, I would say. Not so much that Vin would be way more powerful than him. Again, then I just think of that coin bending with Calcia.
Yeah. Now, Zane seems to have a few more tricks than Vin, like the coin in the mouth thing, but Vin has the Pierce Copper Clouds thing. And Zane doesn't verbatim know that, but he suspects something along the lines. He understands that she can sense him when she shouldn't, and that is enough. He doesn't need to know the mechanism, that he can.
Yeah.
She could be it. The thing that finally lets me resist. The thing that convinces me to just leave. He couldn't explain why he needed a reason. Part of him simply ascribed it to his insanity, though the rational part of him felt that was a weak excuse. Deep down, he admitted that Straff was all he had ever known. Zane wouldn't be able to leave until he knew he had someone else to rely on. So that's a little hypocritical, Zane. You want to leave, but you don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the all he had ever known thing is so poignant because of the conversation that Vin had with Orasur or Dogasur, and trying to teach Dogasur that there is another way. You can choose to trust.
Yes. Yeah, you can enjoy your life even a little. Even if you are going to be betrayed or anything like that, you just, better to have loved and lost, that sort of thing. But yeah, this just leave thing, I'm sitting there with that hypocritical thing, because it's like, okay, yeah, you want to get away, but you also need, and you're on about people controlling you, but you want someone else to rely on. That's a new tidbit from him. Like, he uses the word rely, and I say use in that his POV uses the word rely.
Yeah.
Well, what is relying on? What does he rely on them for? To keep? Oh, I suppose to just keep him alive, like from just blowing up and killing himself, or
Or
going
others.
insane.
I think he's afraid of the voice.
Hmm.
And I think he's using Straff as a crutch to help him imagine some control he has over his voice.
Yeah.
He has someone else's voice external to him, guiding him. But if you go live in a mountain by yourself, then you won't necessarily harm anyone, dude. And it's great if you don't want to harm anyone, which I'm on the fence about after the way you treated your subordinates, but I would be hesitant to be alone with the voices in my head if I were to hear voices. So, I mean, my stream of consciousness is aggravating enough, let alone another.
No, let alone murderous counter person. Jeez.
Yeah. He turned away from Keep Hasting. He'd had enough of waiting. It was time to seek her out. Zane threw coins bounding across the city for a time, and sure enough, there she was, sitting atop Keep Venture, watching over his foolish brother. Zane rounded the keep, keeping far enough away that even tin-enhanced eyes wouldn't see him. He landed on the back of the keep's roof, then walked forward quietly. He approached, watching her sit on the edge. The air was silent. Finally, she turned around, jumping slightly. He swore that she could sense him when she shouldn't be able to. In any case, he was discovered.
Do you think Vin there just did it, on purpose? Said, "Woo, you surprised me," kind of thing. Because we've had her do that before. Just
yes,
so really,
no.
Okay.
Okay, so you think she did
Yeah, like to make she could have, I don't know, I think she would have sensed him, and then she jumps slightly to fool him into thinking he didn't to fool him into thinking he snuck up on her.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay, but that Vin is capable of that.
Yeah, very capable of that.
Zane,
Vin said flatly, easily identifying the silhouette. He wore his customary black on black with no mist cloak. I've been waiting, atop Keep Hasting, hoping you'd come. She sighed, careful to keep an eye on him, but relaxing slightly.
I'm not really in the mood for sparring right now.
He watched her. Pity. He walked over, prompting Vin to rise cautiously to her feet. He stopped beside the rim of the rooftop, looking down at Ellen's lit balcony. Vin glanced at Orasor. He was tense, alternately watching her and Zane. Of course he's tense. He's worried he's going to have to betray Vin.
And so that's your line. That's the one you wanted to think about. Like,
yeah.
Well, yeah, because now they're both right here. Is this the big reveal time? Yeah.
Yep. And right after such a wonderful, heartwarming... Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, it's great. You're so worried about him.
Ellen?
Even though he uses you.
We've had this discussion, Zane. He isn't using me.
Yes, Vin. Good, Vin. Bad Zane.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Vin has the responses that we know now of how she'll say it out loud, whatever. But she does have this other thing where she's lonely and she wants a Mistborn to speak to. That's what she thinks it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's part of it. I'm not saying it's not, but she's closed off she's not talking to Sazed about what she's seen. She's not done any of that. She also wants to leave in a way, and he's an outsider, and that makes him attractive.
Yes, but he is just so axiomatic. Is that the word about it? It's just, you are being used. You have no free will here. You did not make a choice to serve him. You have no say in the matter.
And we've had this discussion, but you know what? I'm still where I started the first night.
Yeah.
You are not convincing me otherwise.
Yep. Zane looked up at her, meeting her eyes, standing straight-backed and confident in the night.
He's so strong, so sure of himself, so different from...
She stopped herself.
Ooh! Different from?
Different from?
From her? From herself?
No,
different, but
no.
she's not. The fact that she stopped herself means different from Elend.
1000%. I briefly wondered about Kelsier, but it's like, no, this is Elend, and this is not good. Don't think that, Vin.
And sorry, Vin, whenever Elend is acting confident, okay, of himself, you start going, oh my God, he's changing. He doesn't need me anymore. So it's not that simple that you just like, oh, well, you know, she's being peak femininity here, where it just makes absolutely no sense, really. Yes, and like I feel this way and I feel this way, and they're totally against each other, but that doesn't matter. Like, okay,
I hate it.
I can hold these two perceptions of reality without any flaw. Like, it's incredible.
Zane turned away. Tell me, Vin, when you were younger, did you ever wish for power? Vin cocked her head, frowning at the strange question.
What do you mean?
You grew up on the streets. When you were younger, did you wish for power? Did you dream of having the ability to free yourself, to kill those who brutalized you?
Of course I did.
And now you have that power. What would the child Vin say if she could see you? A Mistborn who is bent and bowed by the weight of another's will, powerful, yet somehow still subservient. And at that point, I thought to myself, well, you could ask her. You could burn some gold and ask.
Yeah, you could still see... Well, I don't know if you can converse with them, but the point is, we know that path. We know what Dark Vin looks like.
A little bit, yeah.
And actually, okay, so Burning Gold, when she did do that, we had that... She was still, like, thin and, you know, and like cut off. So that was the part where basically she hadn't found Kelsier. But she does have Allomancy. But then again, what is Vin if she's got Allomancy, but she doesn't have the warmth and the trust of the crew?
And Vin has this thought later on in this chapter, and it's a really beautiful line.
Well, here we are as well. A good line as well. I'm a different person now, Zane. I like to think that I've learned things since I was a child.
I've found that a child's instincts are often the most honest, the most natural. Vin didn't respond. So 2 thoughts there. The phrase out of the mouths of babes comes to mind. But also, someone hasn't read Lord of the Flies.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a reason why we don't put children in, you know, positions in government.
Yeah. There was once this, they tried to say, like, there was a theory that because of us increasing our lifespan, actually the time that we were supposed to be most active was when we were teenagers and things like that, that there was some stupid thing like that. And it's because of the way the brain is at that stage. And they were like, maybe that, perhaps, it was like a documentary or whatever. And it said, like, perhaps this is the way the brain is supposed to be, and we were supposed to live in that way most of the time. No, I don't think so. I think if we were run by teenagers, we'd all just be dead.
Yeah,
or we would just have a very bad society. We'd just reproduce very quickly, but die very quickly as well. So it would not be optimal.
Psychologically, like, everything is emotionally heightened in the teen years.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Alexander the Great died when he was 30, but it's a myth that, like, people died super young in the past. It's because that number includes infant mortality rates. But if you survived to be an adult, you were pretty good till, like, what, your 50s and 60s?
Yeah, if you've actually made it that far, yeah. It's not the point is, it's not the natural state. It's not a good state. It's it's a natural state that you need to make through. You have to get through it. That's part of maturation. Okay, you have to go through it. But yeah, it's not, that doesn't make it right. Just because it's natural doesn't make it right. no, don't say, like, just because your emotions are, your first reaction is honest, that doesn't mean you don't honor your emotions and things like that, but that doesn't mean that you must let your emotions guide you all the time, control you. And it seems like he has given into that instinct. It's like, oh, it's the most honest. But when you become an adult, part of becoming an adult is controlling your reactions to the way you feel. You don't get to just cry like babies, get to just scream and cry for anything. But as you get older, you have to control yourself and be part of society. That's natural as well.
Yeah, and there's talk of repercussions later on in the chapter, but everything has repercussions, and if you don't come from a place of wisdom and forward thinking about potential outcomes, you're going to make some choices that might seem good in the short term, but really don't play out well in the long term.
Yeah, they will not serve you as well as thinking ahead.
Yeah, and one would hope that Ellen's way, and what I hope Vin sees in Ellen's way, is that there are better long-term successes that come from behaving in a hopefully moral hand of friendship way, rather than
or considered. Yeah. That doesn't mean that we can't be decisive. So we've got that balance that's coming in, thematically, where we've got, you can't just sit and be book smart and theorize all the time. We've got Tyndall teaching, and
you have to be decisive. You have to be able to make decisions. You have to be able to make smart decisions.
Yeah.
But again, there's balance. You cannot be overly brutal. Well, that way lies the Kolos.
Yeah, exactly. And we have Vin when she was pure instinct. Remember Vin being pure instinct and just trying to stay alive all the time. That as well wasn't the best way. Yeah, it kept her alive because she was pushed to the extreme. But now when you have more agency, you can also, it's all about balance. Balancing all of those different scenarios so you don't become those extremes that Gold would show you.
Exactly.
So yeah, nice try, Zane. You got a lot of growing up to do.
Indeed. Zane turned quietly, looking out over the city, seemingly unconcerned that he was exposing his back to her. Vin eyed him, then dropped a coin. It plinked against the metal rooftop, and he immediately glanced toward her.
No, he doesn't trust me.
He turned away again, and Vin watched him. She understood what he meant, for she had once thought as he did. Idly, she wondered what kind of person she might have become if she'd gained full access to her powers without simultaneously learning of friendship and trust from Kelsier's crew. Love that line. And we need more Gold in these books. I really want to see Gold be more useful, and I would love to have that happen.
That exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's but that's the way, this is what actually did happen. She did find friendship and warmth and trust. So yeah, it's interesting to consider the alternative, but that does not mean she has to now go and be that alternative at all. It's like, yeah, that could have happened, but that doesn't mean that I need to be that. But it also gives you insight into, I suppose, what Zane represents. Maybe Zane is what she would be like Zane if that had happened.
Yeah.
Probably worse.
I mean, I've made jokes about Zane being evil Ellen, but you can easily say Zane is evil Vin here.
Yeah.
What would you do, Vin, assuming you didn't have any constraints, assuming there were no repercussions for your actions? I mean, first off, there are always repercussions, Zane, but anyway.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, fine. That can give us an idea of if there weren't repercussions, what would we do? Okay, that can help us navigate what we would do, what we can do, and what the repercussions of that would be. But yeah, just acting as if there are no repercussions it's not functional. Like, good for you. That's just suicide. Again, Zane, grow up, boy. But again, shame. Poor Zane. He hasn't exactly been through the best of upbringings.
Yes.
Go north.
The thought was immediate.
Find out what is causing that something.
But she didn't say it.
I don't know.
She said instead. So that's an interesting thing. On one hand, I would be very curious to see if he could sense it or not. My concern would be that if he tried and succeeded, then he too would figure out that he could pierce copper clouds, and then she would inadvertently have made him even stronger. So I think she made the wise choice, even though I've been very open about saying that they should all tell people about their concerns. I think this was wise, not telling him.
Not this guy. Not this one. This is not. You can tell Sazit that. Let's have that whole discussion. You can speak to Breeze, speak to Ham, but Ellen, don't bring that up. Definitely don't need to expose yourself to a more powerful enemy by powering him up, just unlocking his potential.
He eyed her. You aren't taking me seriously, I see. I apologize for wasting your time. He started to leave, walking directly between her and Orasor. Another Orasor line? Vin watched him and felt a sudden stab of concern. He'd come to her, willing to talk rather than merely fight, and she'd wasted the opportunity. She was never going to turn him to her side if she didn't talk to him.
You want to know what I'd do?
Zane halted.
If I could just use my power as I wanted, no repercussions, I'd protect him.
Your king? Zane asked, turning. Vin nodded sharply.
These men who brought armies against him, your master, this man named Set, I'd kill them. I'd use my power to make certain that nobody could threaten Elend.
Zane nodded quietly, and she saw respect in his eyes. No, don't respect that, Zane. I mean,
Yeah, he does. He's respecting it because, I don't know, maybe because of the violence or whatever. But now it's like she would do it anyway without him having told her. That's what it means.
And there are just so many more factors involved. And he just like you said, he glosses over the fact that she's willing to do it for him.
He respects more the violence of it. He's just like, oh yeah, she'll kill. That's great. Well, she's a killer like me. Instead of actually taking what actually has been revealed here, is that she would do violence or whatever for Elend, regardless of what Elend wants.
Yep. And why don't you?
Because
I see the confusion in your eyes. You know that your instincts to kill those men are right, yet you hold back because of him. No.
Not just because of him. She's not a dog. Like, oh, Elend will be really upset with me. Oh, I better not do it. It's like, no, she's got her own moral compass as well. And she wants to be, when you love someone, you want to be the best the best version of yourself for that person. And that doesn't mean they're in control of you. It means you care and you trust that person as well. It's the whole lesson that Vin learned, because you have to let go essentially when you trust someone. Mm-hmm. Oh, Zane, you're so sick.
And there are times when killing them will probably be appropriate in battle.
Yes.
Or something to that effect. There are times when assassination is probably not the worst choice, but we're not there yet, as Vin is about to point out. And there's so many things that could go wrong if she just did that.
And Elend being upset or disappointed with her is just one. She herself would also be, she's got the same thing, that she doesn't want to be exactly like Calcia. She doesn't want to be as vengeful and over the top as Calcia was. She doesn't want that for herself. She has agency here. It's not just Elend.
Yes.
Zane doesn't know anything about being human. Shame.
Yeah. And there's the cycle of violence. An eye for an eye. They're evil. I'd be fine with them not existing. There's no way for me to walk that one back and say it less cringy, is there?
No. Listen, I wouldn't mind if Straff was just taken out and then we had some other enemy. Look, yes, there could be worse than Straff, but Straff is pretty damn horrible.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with him not existing anymore. Like anyway.
Yeah. But you don't want to perpetuate the cycle of violence. If
Exactly.
you need to fight. Anyway.
Use your power responsibly.
Yeah.
There would be repercussions, Zane. If I'd killed those men, their armies might just attack. Right now, diplomacy could still work.
Perhaps. Until he asks you to go kill someone for him. And well, okay, but like, what's the context? What would the context be? Is it Jaime Lannister in the throne room with the Mad King about to burn King's Landing?
Yeah, exactly. And then you'd be like, and what must Vin do in that situation? Okay, just if you're taking your example, must Vin go, no, you can't tell me what to do, kind of thing, like because now say let's put this into that Elend, instead of the sword happening, okay, for the Kinslayer, Kingslayer, sorry, Kinslayer is from Wheel of Time.
I'll give it time.
So if say Elend said, Vin, kill the Mad King. And Vin just goes, no, you're not telling me what to do. Like that's what Zane is kind of getting at here, is that the only reason that you do stuff is because he tells you to. It's like, no, there's reasons that he tells me to do certain things, and I will consider them myself.
Yeah. Pretty sure Zane has an open door, not an open door policy, but I'm pretty sure if any of the citizens of the kingdom wanted to leave, he'd be like, okay, sorry to see you go.
Bye.
Perhaps. Until he asks you to go kill someone for him.
Elend doesn't work that way. He doesn't give me orders, and the only people I kill are the ones who try to kill him first.
Oh? You may not act at his order, Vin, but you certainly refrain from action at it. You're his toy. I don't say this to insult you. You see, I'm as much a toy as you are. Neither of us can break free. Not alone. So, first off, you almost have a good point there. You almost have a good point with but you refrain from action thing. But it's because Elend is wiser than you are, Zane. You cannot just act out your worst impulses and expect to do well for very long, because you have to exist in a society with other people. And if you just go rabid, someone else is going to come and put you down, regardless of whether or not you're misborn. But yes, Vin does refrain from action because of Elend. So you get half a point there. Good for you. You acknowledge that you are a hypocrite. Good for you. But then where do you get off judging her?
No, judging her is a way of just, trying to push her into this box of how he sees her. That then you must be like me. You must be, you see, I also am a toy. I'm also, influenced by another person and whatever. We have to break free together. Like he's got this childlike view of, so yeah, he's far stunted compared to where Vin is at.
Yeah. And then he does almost get that proposition that they could join together and run off. And not really run off, but presumably what he imagines the two of them teaming up would be for them to kill Straff and take over.
Yeah, that would probably be it. If you gave him the proposition of, okay, cool, we'll kill Straff, then you can go off and live however you want somewhere else. That's not good enough for him. He wants to dominate wherever he goes. He's not going to go in off peacefully and chill in the mountain or whatever. No, he actually he hasn't come to realize that is actually what he wants. Something else. He wants something beyond just being free. He has worse instincts as well.
Yeah,
he has worse desires.
Yes.
He's aware of them, but I don't think he realizes the significance of them. That it's not just Straff that makes him bad.
Agreed. And to be fair, he's got that voice like hounding away at him, so
Yeah.
you have some empathy, but
He's severely damaged.
yeah, poor guy. Don't kill people. Suddenly, the coin Vin had dropped snapped into the air, flying towards Zane. She tensed, but it simply streaked to Zane's waiting hand. It's interesting, he said, turning the coin in his fingers. Many Mistborn stop seeing the value in coins. To us, they simply become something to be used for jumping. It's easy to forget the value of something when you use it so often, when it becomes commonplace and convenient to you, when it becomes just a tool. Oh, gee, Zane being so subtle.
Wow, Zane. But something like that would feed into Vin's own flaws.
Neuroses.
Her own neuroses, that she completely thinks that, she's losing value if she's not valuable to him, if she's not useful to him, then to Elend, then he's not going to love her. She's not worthy of his love in any case. So yeah, it just pushes that button.
Yeah. He flipped the coin up, then shot it out into the night. I must go, he said, turning. Vin raised a hand. Seeing him use allomancy made her realize that there was another reason she wanted to speak with him. It had been so long since she'd talked with another Mistborn, one who understood her powers, someone like her. But it seemed to her that she was too desperate for him to stay, so she let him go and returned to her vigil. That's a good Vin.
That is an interesting last line, though. Like, she's resisting. Vigil? No. The desperate for him to stay. Sorry, it isn't the last line, second last line.
Yeah, she's crushing on him.
She's
moderation.
Like, but she's like, that's not good. She's like, she really wants him to stay, and that's not a good thing. So she's resisting that allure.
Yes.
Yeah. Then look, we saw this coming.
Yep. Doesn't mean we have to like it.
No. Is there anything? You know what? Zane has a long way to go for him to ever reach this. Because remember when he first came around, we were like thinking of a redemption arc. He's got a long way to go. He has to go through
I think he'll get there at some point. I definitely do. I would love to see, assuming Dagosur is the spy, I would love to see Dagosur tell Zane that she is being completely genuine in what she has told him. I would love to see that.
Let's actually talk about that. His lack of addressing the fact that there is a dog with her on the roof is loud.
Yes.
In this, like, when we first, you did point it out that during their encounter before, like, there was he would have heard Orosur say mistress and all of that, and then see a dog run up to her. So we spoke about that possibility and how that could be a point for Orosur is not Orosur,
right.
and he's the spy. This lack of, speaking about the dog, and I suppose we could also push that away by saying, well, they're always sparring. They've been sparring a lot, so he's used to this dog's presence. But this is like the first time they seem to be speaking in a while. So yes, they've been sparring and whatever. So this would be a time where you say, oh, this thing, like some throwaway line about the dog. But he and also Branderson goes and puts us, it says, oh, he walked past Orosur. He stood in between Vin and Orosur. He's very pointedly not acknowledging Orosur, which is interesting.
Yeah. Anyway. Nice chapter. Very excited to see what happens next. Thank you all for tuning in. Subscribe to That Darn Kite and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Okay,
thanks. Bye.